KD's like, yo, man, I can't trust this dude. He shows up when he wants to. He's going to do his own thing.
He has enough credibility to speak on this, and he's right on the sense that the narrative around Kevin Durant would change if he won another championship in a different place. I don't think it changes his legacy, his accomplishments, his Hall of Fame career, being one of the 10 or 12 greatest players of all time. Another championship doesn't change that.
For nearly a decade, Charles Barkley and Kevin Durant have been locked in one of the most uncomfortable and persistent rivalries in the history of the sport.
Other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
It isn't a clash of skill, but a conflict over the definition of genuine greatness. This tension reignited in October 2025 when Durant finally retaliated via Netflix's Starting Five documentary, addressing Barkley's infamous bus rider jab with an intense defense centered on personal sacrifice, immense pressure, and competitive pride.
I think sometimes Charles says things and we don't view it necessarily as analysis, we view it as entertainment. Why he's so good on television.
On paper, it appeared that Durant was finally settling the score for good. Barkley retired without a championship after 16 grueling seasons, whereas Durant boasts 2 rings and 2 Finals MVPs. Yet, in the court of public opinion, Barkley consistently seems to hold the high ground. This isn't because of his box scores, but because this entire rivalry was never merely about accumulating jewelry. It is a question of legacy, respect, and whether a title carries the same weight when the path you chose wasn't the most difficult one available.
Charles Barkley definitely has credibility about anything with basketball. He was a superstar in this game. He wasn't some scrub. There's a brother that showed up in the Game 7 of a conference finals and dropped 44 and 24. There's a brother that Jordan stopped from winning the championship. Now, you have people like Jordan, Julius Erving, even Isaiah Thomas that talk about the sacrifice he didn't make to win championships. So you're going to have guys who did that say, who are you? Well, here's my response to that. He is a gold medalist. He is one of the elite players. He is a Hall of Famer. So he has credibility, but it doesn't mean he has to be right with everything he says. We respectfully disagree with how he classified Kevin Durant, but he definitely had the right to say it, and he has credibility.
Back in October 2020, Barkley caused the stir on the Dan Patrick Show with his cutting bus driver versus bus rider metaphor. His phrasing seemed straightforward, but the impact was profound, questioning who is truly steering the franchise and who is merely a passenger on the journey.
Mount Rushmore. You have to be a bus driver. You can't be a bus rider. Kevin Durant is still a bus rider until he wins one in Brooklyn.
Initially, that seemed like just another trademark Barkley hot take, loud, provocative, and easy to dismiss, but he was merely getting started. The true explosion occurred after Brooklyn suffered a humiliating 4-game sweep by the Boston Celtics in the 2022 opening round. This was the exact moment Durant was expected to demonstrate he could triumph as the primary leader. Instead, Inside the NBA became the platform for Barkley's most devastating critique. In late April 2022, he launched a direct attack on Durant, igniting a media firestorm that became the focal point of the entire basketball community.
See, you guys always talk about that championship stuff. I try to tell y'all, all these bus riders, they don't mean nothing to me. If you ain't driving the bus, don't walk around and talk about you a champion. If you riding the bus, I don't want to hear it. Come on, Shaq, tell them. All these guys walk around with these championship rings. Hey, y'all bus riders. But let me tell you something.
2 in a row, Chuck.
When you the bus driver and you got all that pressure where you have to play well or you're going to get the blame, that's a different animal.
Analyzing the core of Barkley's argument reveals a painful truth. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green secured 73 wins in 2016, constructing a dynasty from the ground up. Then Durant arrived, fresh from squandering a 3-1 lead against them in the Western Conference Finals. Rather than staying the course and steering his own vehicle, Barkley argued that Durant simply boarded theirs, coasting to championships that felt unearned. Durant refused to remain silent. He retaliated on Instagram with a pointed post featuring Barkley alongside the legends he joined in his own pursuit of a ring: Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, and Clyde Drexler in Houston, plus Philly icons Julius Erving and Moses Malone. His caption delivered a sharp sting. Where would Chuck be without the big homies? That retort certainly had impact. Barkley did indeed join a loaded Houston squad filled with Hall of Famers. However, Durant overlooked a crucial distinction. Barkley was 33 and clearly past his peak, yet he still finished without a trophy. Conversely, Durant was 27 and in his absolute prime when he joined the very team that had just eliminated him. As the backlash intensified, Durant moved the conflict to Twitter. In June 2022, he lashed out, calling Barkley another hating old head with a terrible analogy who can't accept we're making more money. By March 2023, he reinforced his stance, tweeting, "This isn't getting tiring, Chuck. I'll never respect anything you say, fam. Just deal with it." A clear pattern emerges upon closer inspection. Durant wasn't truly validating his titles or debating his role on the bus. Instead, he attacked Barkley's character, pivoting the conversation toward earnings and personal respect rather than basketball legacy. This only provided Barkley with more ammunition. In August 2022, during an interview on Arizona Sports 98.7 FM, Barkley delivered a definitive blow. He branded Durant with a new nickname that resonated instantly: Mr. Miserable. That label became inseparable from Durant's image, portraying him as a superstar who could capture championships but could never seem to find contentment in the process.
He just seems like a miserable person, man. I call him Mr. Miserable. He's never gonna be happy. Everybody's giving him everything on a silver platter. Mm-hmm. You know, he was a man in Oklahoma City. They loved him. He owned the entire state. And then he bolts on them and goes to the Warriors. He wins back-to-back championships, and he's still not happy. He goes to Brooklyn. They give him everything he wants, and he's still miserable.
What made Barkley's jab so cutting was that it carried a painful amount of truth. Durant possessed everything in Oklahoma City: a dedicated fan base, a championship-caliber roster, and a 3-1 series lead over Golden State. Then the collapse happened. Rather than seeking redemption, he aligned with the very team that broke his spirit, secured 2 titles, and still appeared unfulfilled. This had transitioned beyond basketball. It was now about inner satisfaction. By late March 2023, CBS's 60 Minutes provided Barkley with yet another massive national platform to keep that narrative burning bright.
Kevin Durant.
He's very sensitive, great player. He's part of that generation who think he can't be criticized. He's never looked in the mirror and says, "Man, was that a fair criticism?"
Durant's conflicts didn't remain confined to the hardwood. They erupted directly onto social media. He became notorious for bickering with anonymous users, even teenagers, and utilizing burner accounts just to protect his reputation. Combine that with his constant podcast appearances, where he repeatedly attempts to justify his choices, and you see a superstar trapped in a perpetual fight against his own critics. You never witnessed Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant engaging like that. They allowed their dominance to be their only statement. Then another strike landed in mid-February 2024 during a True TV All-Star broadcast. Barkley was unrelenting. No disrespect to Kevin, but Kevin's a follower, not a leader. He's proven that at every stop. Booker is a phenomenal talent, but he's the guy who has to elevate the Suns. The events that followed only intensified the sting of those words. The Suns were embarrassed in a first-round sweep in 2024 and failed to even qualify for the 2025 postseason. By May 2025, the Outkick show provided what seemed like the closing chapter in the Barkley-Durant saga.
Other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
Oklahoma City fell short in the finals. Brooklyn got swept in the first round. Phoenix suffered the same fate, then completely missed the playoffs the next year. The only time Kevin Durant truly won was when he joined a 73-win Warriors squad that didn't need saving. And through all the criticism, Durant never really faced the core of the...
Oklahoma City lost in the finals. Brooklyn got swept right away. Phoenix had the same bad luck and missed the playoffs entirely the next year. The only time Kevin Durant truly won was when he joined a 73-win Warrior team that was already perfect. Through all the noise, Durant never really answered the main question. That changed in October 2025 when Netflix released Starting 5 Season 2. The show gave him a giant stage to finally tell his side. Durant's words were raw and very emotional. He said he didn't just ride the bus, he claimed he filled the gas tank. He said he was the gas, the wheels, and the brakes. He played every single part. Basically, he told the world he was the engine for the Warriors. But he kept going. Durant attacked Barkley's character with a very personal shot. He said Barkley never knew how to drop his ego to help a city win. He claimed it was always about Barkley. His whole life was about how he felt and what he wanted to say, because he's Charles Barkley. It was a heated moment, but this is where Durant's point falls apart. Calling Barkley selfish for not winning doesn't work when Barkley has no rings. And if winning means everything, then joining the team that just beat you isn't a sacrifice, it is giving up. Staying in OKC and beating Golden State would have shut everyone up forever. Still, Durant's stats are insane. 2 titles with the Warriors in 2017 and 2018 with 2 Finals MVPs. He put up huge numbers on the biggest stage. He has a regular season MVP from 2014 and 15 All-Star games. He won 4 scoring titles and was the youngest ever to do it at 21. He made 11 All-NBA teams and has 4 gold medals. His career numbers are pure greatness. He averages 27 points and just passed 31,000 total points. He is 8th on the all-time list. His shooting is super efficient too. No matter what people say, his game is undeniable. Yet, Barkley's big question is still there. Why does it feel like something is missing? Barkley's career still earns huge respect. He was the MVP in 1993 and an 11-time All-Star. He's a Hall of Famer who averaged 22 points and 11 rebounds. At 6'6", he is the best rebounder for his size ever. But the number everyone knows is 0 rings. He only made 1 Finals and lost to Michael Jordan. When you look at stats, Durant wins easily. That is why this fight is so good. Barkley never said he was better. He just says Durant's rings feel fake. Shaq, who actually knows how to lead a team, agrees with Chuck. Shaq said on his podcast that we all saw OKC up 3-1. When you were the leader, the pressure is on you. Shaq said Barkley was right and that Durant was just on the bus in Golden State. He said if you win like that, we don't respect it. Those words hurt coming from a 4-time champ like Shaq. He carried teams and says Durant didn't do that in Golden State. But younger players like Tyrese Halliburton disagree. He calls Durant a legend who deserves statues. To him, Durant's greatness is set in stone. This gap between the old stars and the new kids keeps the fight alive. Because outside of the Warriors, Durant's teams have struggled. In 2012, OKC was young and lost in the finals, but 2016 was the real turning point. OKC had the Warriors down 3-1. That was Durant's chance to be the king. Instead, he and Westbrook shot poorly and lost the lead. A few months later, Durant joined that same team. That choice changed his legacy forever. The Warriors signed him in July 2016, and they dominated instantly. They won 2 rings, but the fans never stopped talking. The Warriors had already won 73 games without him. To many, it proved the bus rider theory was true. Then came the Brooklyn era. Durant joined the Nets to build something new, but it ended with a sweep by the Celtics. It was a bad look that made Barkley look right. Next was Phoenix. The Suns traded for him to win it all, but they got swept by Minnesota and then missed the playoffs in 2025. It was total chaos. Now, Durant is on the Houston Rockets as of July 2025. At 37, this is his last shot to prove he can lead a team as the main guy. He failed in OKC, Brooklyn, and Phoenix. The only time he won was with a team that had already won. Now, Barkley never won a ring in 16 years. That is a fact. So how does he get to talk? It's about how we see greatness. Barkley says you have to earn rings, not join super teams. Barkley was always the man in Philly and Phoenix. He never won the trophy, but he did it his way. No shortcuts. Durant wants the rings to count, but he also wants to be seen as the lone leader. You can't have it both ways. Either you are the helper or the leader. Until he wins alone, Barkley's words will follow him. Now, Durant is in Houston, and they're 15-5. He's still playing at an elite level. This is his final chance to silence Barkley. But the pressure is huge. If he fails here, Barkley's point becomes perfect. Durant will be known as a great scorer who only won when someone else led. This debate asks what greatness really is. Is it just trophies, or is it the hard road? Fans of the 90s love the grind and loyalty. They respect a proud loser more than a cheap winner. But the kids today just care about the ring. That's the big split. Durant doesn't look happy. If those rings were enough, why does he keep moving teams? He's been looking for respect for 10 years. Deep down, he knows Barkley hit a nerve. Barkley didn't find a secret, he just said what everyone was thinking. Durant is one of the best scorers ever. 31,000 points and 4 gold medals are huge, but his 2 rings have a shadow, not because of his play, but because of his team. Golden State was already a monster. Barkley's message is clear: be the driver, not the rider. Durant spent years dodging that question. He talked about money and ego instead, but he never answered if he was truly the leader in Golden State. Everyone knows the truth. Steph Curry drove that bus. Durant just hopped on for the ride and took the credit. Barkley has 0 rings, but he won this fight. Durant's years after the Warriors proved it. Sweeps and missed playoffs tell the story. Houston is the last chapter. It is the final chance to win without a super team. If he stayed in OKC and won once, it would mean more than his 2 rings now. Sometimes the guy with no rings knows what they mean the most. So, do you think Barkley won, or can Durant change the story in Houston? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your takes. Thanks for supporting Basketball Pulse. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you soon.